Hi, everyone. It's Vinny. Hello. That is a demo of the new Flesh from September 23rd, 2022. So you can kind of see like how much was used, how much wasn't. Yeah, it goes back that one. And some of that was actually put directly into Pro Tools at Joe's studio and then used. And yeah, that one that's a cool. I hadn't heard that demo in a couple years, and there it is. So I wanted to do a little Q&A because this album was definitely a tough one, and I wanted to explain, I guess, a little bit, not too much. I didn't want to do this last night because I wanted everybody to listen to the album and form their own opinions, and also to just listen to the music and not a bunch of people talking. I feel like that's something. It was fun for people when we did that, but I don't think that's how I'd like to do album premieres anymore. I think I want to do in the future. I want to just kind of like separate Q&As. This one, I've seen a lot of questions about it, and I think even if there haven't been, there's some stuff that I think would be helpful. So, okay, before I actually have a Q&A, save your questions, but I will tell you, question, are you okay? I'm okay. Like most people, there are times where I'm not, and I usually use those moments to write music. So if I'm putting out like all sad music, that doesn't mean I'm always sad. It just means that I think, more interesting music. I like sadder sounding music in general, and that's usually when I write, and that translates to sad music. But the tech problems. So I'm still exporting something. So let me just say a couple things. One, Adobe Premiere. I think I might be done with Adobe Premiere. This has been exporting for about 5 hours, maybe 6. And that has said 38 minutes, like in that ballpark, 30 something to like 40 something minutes for an hour. And it's not even that effects heavy. So the export I did overnight was pretty, it's a little more subtle than the one I showed yesterday. And there was an effect that was broken. So I'm going to have to export this again. So I'll have the full album on YouTube whenever I can. So that was tech problem number one. Tech problem number two, I'm still dealing with. I'm not going to say where it is, but there is a really annoying click in one of the transitions. And I don't know what it is. Joe doesn't know what it is. I'm wondering if it's a sample rate problem. If anyone here that mixes music has any potential ideas, maybe email us or something, because we tried everything, and the only thing that we could do was add silence to the end of the song, which is not what we've had to do in the past. So for 2 songs, there was in those in-between sections, there was this just really annoying click, and I tried to fix it yesterday, and then I did so a little bit more earlier, and it either still clicks or it kind of fucks with the transition. So I got it as good as I could. Unfortunately, it will be on the vinyl. I know this isn't a huge deal, and listening to the test pressings, which I got, by the way, it's not too bad. This is one of those things that it's going to bother me more than anyone else. But it's such a weird problem. And you can re-export, you can, try to kind of just do a gradient to get rid of it, and it still exists. Really weird issue, and it's only on songs that have more sound as the music is cut off. And I tried Adobe Audition, I tried FL Studio. It was exported originally from Pro Tools. So bizarre, wacky, weird problem. So that's tech problem number 2. Trying to figure that out. I might not ever get it perfect. So we might just have to, deal with 95% okay. So, Retcon, first of all, really quick thank you, everybody. Yesterday there were some tech issues, but I appreciate you all going with it. Even the stream quality audio was not that high, which I realized today. So it wasn't something that, it wasn't the best first impression, but it was a number of lessons learned. I also learned that Apple Music doesn't do global timed release, which means an album releasing at midnight across the globe, midnight Eastern, the same exact time across the globe, which I think is really valuable because I like the surprise of an album. I like when people hear it for the first time together, and that makes it kind of impossible to do so because it'll be out in like Australia or something. So Apple Music doesn't do that. So I've decided next album, I'm going to do a premiere 2 days early. And if people still want to, I just appreciate no one uploads it to YouTube. If you want to send it to your friends, that's fine. But, for me, it's like, I also would prefer if people all discovered it at the same time and then, listen to it on their streaming platform of choice. But it's just, it was an annoying tech issue. So, little history of the album. I'm not here to tell you too much about what the music is about. Figure that shit out on your own if you like it enough to do so. But I can tell you that this album was about, I'm going to say 14 months delayed. And it was called Retcon from the beginning. So we had a little bit of a lineup change, as you know. And we do care and love Mike. The problem is Mike's health and his time wasn't working for live, and it wasn't working for recordings that much either. And I really appreciate the work he's done, but it we've talked about this on stream. I've talked about it. Mike's talked about it. It's kind of not much more to say. Just sad. But also Gerald is their drum teacher. He was playing bass for us for a long time. He was collaborating on various tracks. On Visions and Afterthoughts, and also he was doing live shows with us. So it was a natural fit, and Gerald is absolutely one of the guys. He's always, he's about the same age as me, and we get along great. I love that dude. But it's still difficult to have a lineup change. But I will tell you that the album name Retcon was before all that. That was actually, I think 2022 was when I had that name. So the reason I bring it up is, there's always going to be that. Is this about this person? Is this about that person? The most direct I'll be today, and I almost don't want to do this because I kind of like the mystique of it. The song Brother and Sort of Goodbye, I hate to tell you this, chat, also written between 2022 and 2023. So those are that's what I'll say about that. I don't have a brother, I know you want it to be about that specific thing, but I don't have a brother, and the way I've always seen that song, it's not about one specific person. It's kind of an idea. And I've had multiple people in my life who, I've mentioned my cousin, that's not the club cousin. That's one of the people that song is dedicated to. And it could be about a lot of different people, because that is a real thing I felt over and over and over again, where I've not been the one to reach out because life got busy, and then you look behind you and 10 years have gone. Thanks, Pink Floyd. And then also, sometimes the other people get busy, and sometimes that's okay. I have friends that I was real close with 15 years ago that had kids, and suddenly our friendships became a little bit more incompatible. And the band, a lot of the band members have kids, but we have this common kind of drive to play music every day, just about, or at least practice a little bit. It's a big part of our lives, and that brings us together. But I've also had friends that have had to become dads and husbands full time or have gone to jail. No, that's not true. Maybe. But that's kind of where that one, that's the only kind of thing I'll give up in terms of meaning. I feel like that one's pretty on the nose anyway. I don't think there's any ambiguity about the topic. It's just, I've seen people be like, it's about this person. It's not. It was written a couple of years ago. Most of this album was written a couple of years ago. And I think the thing I can show you that's the most interesting, perhaps, is the song Reminds Me, which is a song from, I'm not kidding, 20 years ago. I'm going to play that demo. September 28, 2005. That is really interesting, and I'll tell you what happened. I found it on an old hard drive, and I listened to it. I'm like, hey, this has got some cool chords. Let me just show Joe. And then he liked it. He was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I showed the band. They liked it. We started playing it. I don't know why, but we dropped the key by one semitone from C sharp to C. And then I came up with a brand new vocal melody and the chorus melody. The middle is kind of similar, but I'm going to show you. It's kind of shit, but here's what it sounds like. Here was my 20 years ago recording demo skills. I played bass on this too. It's a really weirdly discordant bass line. Even the bridge, kinda. A little different, but I had the chords. We almost did this bass thing, but we didn't do it. Gerald rightly wanted to move away from it. This walking bass line thing. So Gerald did play bass on this song for the recording. This is different. And it's just more of that. That's pretty much it. So, I mean, the thing about it is it's cool. I mean, I like the chords. I ended up really liking what we did with it. And, again, that's one of those things that we worked on together to get that, the middle section to be like a buildup. Because I like a lot of songs like Drain You, Won't Get Fooled Again. There's a lot of songs that have a bridge that just like drop all the energy down and then build it back up. And Joe did that guitar solo, and he was really unsure of it for a long time. But I think it's actually kind of one of his best solos. So I love that solo so much. He killed it. And that's Mike on drums for that one. So that's another thing too, is we'll get to this, but personnel on each song, it's different per song. Like there's some tracks with Mike, like half the album is still Mike. There's some tracks where I play bass. There's some tracks where Joe plays bass. There's some tracks where Gerald plays bass. And there's some tracks where new Joe plays bass. So there's 4 different bassists on this album. I'm not going to say it was a mess, but it was kind of a mess. And again, some of it was, there was some self-doubt. There was doing live stuff. There was the lineup change. There was just personal stuff where it made it hard to get to the studio. But I think the number one issue this thing was delayed, to me at least, not, and it's not an issue, it's just us doing live shows and having to learn how to be live performers, at least more me, and learning all these old songs, which I was starting to get a little resentful of because we weren't making enough progress. You know, we're not like, you know, a band like REM back in the day could be in the studio 5 days a week. There's definitely bands that are like just 8-hour days or more, 12-hour studio days. 4, we do 5 sometimes if we're lucky, sometimes 2. And maybe 2 or 3 days a week if we're lucky, more. Some weeks we don't get a chance to do any studio days, whether it be a vacation or whatever. But even if the rest of the guys are unavailable, I try to go in as much as I can because I love it. And we get stuff done, whether it be we work on something new or we mix or we do vocals or something. So it was always kind of like slow, steady progress. And then we got to the point where we had 16 songs. And 16 songs, to me, is a lot for an album. You know, we did a double album last time, and that was definitely a lot. And I'm proud of it because it's 10 and 10, but also they work together. Some songs on there I really love playing live, and I'm really proud of a lot of that work. But also, it's very, to me, it feels a little disjointed, and I'm like, I like the idea of, we've always put out long albums. 16 just seemed too much. So we got into the studio together, including with New Joe, who hadn't heard some of these songs ever. And we listened to all 16, mostly mixed. And we made some decisions. And I had a big ending song, like a huge ender, that took me 2 years to write lyrics for. And I don't mean like every day. I mean like, you know, come back to it month, 2 months later, you know, try to figure out what would tie this album together. What kind of lyrics would tie this concept? And I think I kind of gave up on that and just wrote a song. And eventually it was this big, crazy, weird song that came from a dream even. And we cut it because the band wasn't as into it compared to the rest of the songs. And I was like, that's for the best, but I also had to like kind of let go and say, no problem. That's got to happen. And it probably, I'm going to show you here. That's all I can show you. That's all I can show you. I'm sorry. But Sphinx, I'm going to tell you the truth. Sphinx has heard it. I think Sphinx liked it. Sphinx is always my buddy when it comes to the music. So, okay, the good news is, chat. The good news is you won't have to wait too long to hear some of this stuff. But for now, we want to focus on, for me at least, getting Retcon fully out the door. Like I still haven't done some stuff because there's some streaming stuff I'm trying to fix up. There's getting the stuff on YouTube. There's the vinyl, which by the way, the vinyl is going to be cool. It looks really good. Like Rax did an amazing job with the art. We got art from Amoral Crow in there, from Izzy. We got art from, oh God, I think that's it for the main, but there might be a little bit more. And Van Duo Bones, who made our first logo. That Retcon logo is also from Van Duo Bones. So it kind of came full circle. I didn't realize this was going to be our 10-year anniversary album. Cheesy too, yes. And Whimsy. So we had a lot of different artists contribute a little bit to each thing. And that includes videos. By the way, a little lyric video is going to drop today. It's very cool. It's nothing crazy, but it fits the vibe, for real or not. Just a cool little thing that I think, a couple scenes that are real, that work really well. But yeah, so this is the near thing, and also we have a lot of songs that we want to continue to work on, and I'm really excited about some of the new ones. There's some interesting ideas we've been working on, and learning to work together with this new 5-piece lineup has been really rewarding, and we're finding that groove. Playing live shows makes you a better musician, makes you a better band, and makes you learn how to play together. So when we record, we would record things like, just due to availability and ease, I would play guitar, and then, maybe some synths, maybe some bass, or guitar, then drums, and then bass. It was kind of a weird way to work. But I can tell you that Over a Life and Real or Not that's full band. So I'll give you a little bit more history. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. So to go back to the idea of how much of a weird project this was, you have a song from 20 years ago. Then you have a song, Over a Life, which was written a couple of weeks before we did our White Eagle Hall show, to the point where we did it live. I didn't even have all the lyrics. We didn't fully figure the song out. That's in the video, and that's in the album. So it's literally from 20 years ago, there's a song, and then from like 4 years ago, there's some songs. 3 years ago, and then one from the, last year. So it is a weird album. If it sounds a little bit disparate, it's because there's a lot of that. There's a lot of different things. And also we definitely, I didn't want to make a concept album, but there's some definite themes lyrically that pop up. And that's why the word retcon just kept sticking into my head. Yeah, you kind of hit a certain age, and certain things remind you of a lot of other stuff, things you can't change, things you can. And that's why we stuck with retcon. And I think it works, but a lot of stuff ended up being just from like various times and trying to figure out how they work together, which is why I'm glad we cut those 5 songs and did those 2 other ones. Real or Not was one I wrote in a weird tuning like 2 years ago. So lots of stuff that we had to make some tough decisions over the past year and a half. And that's kind of, I'm glad people like it. I mean, I know recency bias is a thing. I'd say, some people are like, oh, it's my favorite. Great. Give it a week, give it a month, and then see what you think. But I will tell you, we do play 5 or so of these songs from this album live, and we did Crony, which is a tough one, but I think it was rewarding to do it. I like playing a lot of these songs live. These are really good. So speaking of, there's so many singles for this album, and I know that's a little bit of a sore spot because, you want a full album of material to hear, like some new stuff. So it's good that I know there's like half the album was new for a lot of people. Next time, we're going to do less singles, less lead up. But there are 2 major factors as to why we had so many singles. Well, 3. Number 1 was how delayed everything got, which again is kind of just because we had so much we were doing, and also adjusting to, some really tough decisions with our friend, and it wasn't easy. So there's that. 2 was doing the live shows and wanting to do new material live. And that's a me problem. We were doing these songs, we were getting ready to record them, and I was really into them. I like playing new stuff. I like feeling like something is of the moment. And I really enjoy showing a crowd a new song for the first time. I think it's fun. So as a result, we decided to push Remember as a single before TMG, before that show in 2024. And we did that, and it was like, okay, well, that's probably going to be on our next album, which will be out at the end of the year or early next year. So we just didn't know. Then, so then we also did Memory Loss, and we did some other stuff that eventually may be recorded. But just stuff we were working on, stuff we were playing. I like, there's a lot of bands I liked growing up that just played whatever, So all you bootleggers can go ahead and go. Does anyone know what that reference is? Someone has to know what that is. No? Let's see. Anyone? No, no one got it. Okay. It's a Nirvana. Nirvana some shit. Good job, big man McLarge Huge. Good job. Nirvana some shit. I grew up with those tapes, so I would hear that before one of the songs, and it just stuck in my head for the rest of my life. But we kind of we wanted to play some of these things live, and at least I pushed for it, and so we did. So that spoiled a little bit. And then the game, which was kind of not expected, but that game ended up being something. The New Flesh was something really special, and Biogenesis and Birdley did such a good job with it. Originally, the idea was maybe using old songs, but I was like, well, what could we do? What kind of game could we do? And then I thought, well, the New Flesh is very Cronenberg, obviously, and I like the song. I think the New Flesh that would be a tough one to do live and do it justice, but I would like to attempt it one day, maybe. But I thought it was weird enough, and the narrative of this weird Cronenbergian thing could be in a game. I didn't know what the game would look like. I had no idea at first. And then I figured, well, you know what? Let's just put some new songs in there, some old songs. And so that's why we got Long Ago and New Flesh. And then the idea of just, releasing Crony as a single, it's like, well, we're going to release this album soon. Well, soon turned into another 4 months or so. So that's the story about why it took so long and why there are so many singles. I, too, do not always like the idea of, getting an album that I've heard half of the songs. But like I said, you won't have to wait for more songs as long as you did this time. And you also will not get as many singles for next time. So that's, to me, very exciting. That's also why the album took so long. While we were recording this album, I said this on my stream a bunch, we also had all this other material that we were messing around with. There were days where we didn't have anything really to do, Joe and I. And we were waiting for someone to come in to do their part. And it's like, well, I would be like, hey, Joe, what do you think of this one? He's like, I don't know, let's record it. So we would get started and work on something. And sometimes it would be a thing, for example, To Be Found, which is in the game, or Garbage Land and Clone Me, which also was another slight reason of the delay. And other times it's just stuff that was put in the vault. So yeah, I like to write, and I like to have a lot of material. Whether or not that's a good thing, I don't know. I don't think we'll ever be at like a King Gizzard clip, but I do know that it's fun to have a bunch of different ideas. So that way, when we're working on a thing, I can say, oh, what about this one? You can like slot in the pieces like Tetris. So it's good to me. It's good to have. And that's kind of what we did. So we will have more material to show the chat and the listeners, but I don't know when. I just want to let you know that there's a lot. There's a lot. We also have a ton of new ones of the past 6 months to 8 months that are also, fresh in my mind. We played one of them at the show in Baltimore, Extended Warranty. And that one is just fucking really fun to play live. So, and that works really great as a band, like a full band. So that's, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. So that covers Tech Problems. That covers the journey of the album. I'm probably talking too much, but for me, it was also, let me just say, it was kind of weirdly emotional. I don't think I ever got this emotional about showing an album before. And I don't mean that like I was crying or anything. I was just like, it was like so nice to finally have a thing that you've been working on for years finally be out there. And the positive reactions were nice, but the negative reactions were better. No, really, everybody, you know, getting into it and being excited, like, oh shit, one more song, or here's another new one. We haven't heard this one. That was really cool. I'm really happy people like the song Brother. My personal favorite right now is Real or Not. I just like that one because it's so weird and it's got some strange chords, and Joe is on there vocally. You know, Gerald's drumming is great on that one, and Joe's bass. It's cool for me to see that little evolution for us, and also to, you know, have it be such a new song that was released relatively soonish after recording. Do I have anything else that I want to say? Well, this art you're looking at, by the way, this is an alternate piece, and the vinyl, which I will have info on soon enough, I hope. This will be, you know, there's going to be some pieces of alternate art and some other stuff you've seen, some you haven't. That'll be in the record. I'm investigating also a CD. I'm hoping that the CD will, I know some people still like CDs. We're not going to do tapes. I don't think tapes would be cost effective for us, to be honest, but that's not to say ever, but let's do one antiquated medium at a time. So CD, more than likely, vinyl, definitely. And yeah. Isn't the cover a reference to the New Flesh game? Correct me if I'm wrong. So that's the first question. The New Flesh game is a reference to the cover. It's the other way around. I had the cover idea back then. I just didn't know what we were going to do with it. At some point, maybe I'll show you some of the iterations, but I can tell you that Rax tied it together. I had this chair and door idea. It was fucking haunting me, and I don't really know why, but I learned Blender to try to come up with stuff. I tried a number of different things. I learned how to do some rudimentary blending, and also had a number of people try their take on it, and nothing really felt right. At some point, I almost went with the image of that bluish static and just that as the cover. So, but I'm happy with where we're at, and it worked out. It worked out. But we had the name, and we had this. Here's another piece of trivia. The AV cover was originally the cover. And it was my friend Tyler and I having some drinks and eating shitty pizza. And I was talking about this album because the song AV I was writing, and I had this idea of this like kind of cyberpunk rainy city. And this is Amoral Crow's work, who is phenomenal. That video of AV is insane how good that video is. It's like astounding. I love that video so much. But this, the idea was this, and also maybe the word retcon in the sky, and the reflection, or sorry, the words Red Vox, Red Vox, and then the reflection saying retcon. So that's something I toyed with for a while too, was how can you reflect the word Red Vox into retcon, because they're so similar. It seemed like the obvious, perfect, easy choice. And I tried a million things until it just didn't work. It never really worked. I couldn't figure out how to make it work. I couldn't figure out what would look good. And also, the album does not sound like a cyberpunk city. I think the cover we settled on ended up being a little more open-ended for a lot of this material. And I wanted to go with the blue kind of color scheme because it fit a good chunk of the songs in my, you know, in my reckoning. So what's behind the door? It could be whatever you want. I know what's behind there. Any plans to perform at White Eagle Hall again? I would perform at White Eagle Hall. I always get a little nervous before a show because I'm like, great, this is going to be months of effort. And then when I'm on stage, even if I look miserable, I just have resting sad face. I do end up enjoying it. And then in retrospect, I view it with rose tinted glasses. I'm like, man, that was fun. If they want us to do a show again, we'll do it. Is Joe on long ago? Me and my friend were debating this. Which Joe? I'll just answer the question. It's kind of hard to remember. That's Mike on drums, me on guitar, and guitar solo. Joe Pecora, our lead guitarist, old Joe, sorry, Joe, he is playing the leads in between the heavy parts. And he does that really crazy lead in the heaviest part. I do the chill one at the end. Some of you have seen me do it live. I usually fuck it up. No, you know what? Live, I get it. In the practice room, I don't. And for bass, I believe that's Gerald on bass for that one. Will the ambient liminal track from the beginning of the stream last night be available anywhere? That is in the New Flesh game. Will the vinyl have bonus tracks? Maybe the Garbage Land EP. Okay, so good question. Here's the problem. We've put out albums that have 2 vinyl in the past, and that becomes a little more cumbersome and a little more expensive to produce. We ran out of record space. I got the proofs yesterday. Good timing. I'm not even kidding. I got the proofs from the record plant yesterday, and there's no more space available. Now, if we were to do another disc, it would be pretty wasteful. So I'm sorry to say no, but other options are being considered down the line for different kinds of releases. Are we getting more Happy Anarchy live? We've done Bottom of the Sea, and we've done Bump, and I could see us returning to either of those songs. Joe likes Personal Judas. I like that one too. Joe is a great musician and songwriter. I want to figure out how we could do some more of that stuff. And I can tell you, Joe has written a bunch of great songs. When I go into the studio, sometimes he'll show me a demo, or he'll like play something for me, and it's some fucking intensely good stuff. But it's hard for him to record and produce a ton of other bands, and then also, be a dad and just live and shovel snow, and then also do Red Vox, and then also do a lot of that stuff. So Ocean to the Sea is one of my favorite songs. Do you ever consider to revisit it? I know people like that song. I do too. I think it's cool. I don't like the mixing on that song because it was like, 18 years ago, and it's kind of muddy. I don't know what we would do with it. I like to move forward. I like to record new material. I don't want to revisit too much old stuff. Live, a lot of stuff could be done. It could be that one day, maybe we did Scoot the Burbs. It's possible. I don't have any idea of if we'll do it. I don't even know how much more live stuff we're going to do. This is new to me, but I'm glad you like it. Will In Your Head or Dopamine studio versions exist, or are they live songs only? Those songs, I know Dopamine is something we're definitely going to record because it's just a good song. I like that song a lot. I know the crowd likes it. Trying to find the right album to put it on is what we're working on. That's one. And two, In Your Head, we don't have plans to record that. There could be some genuinely live only songs from us It is possible. But I think Dopamine's definitely going to be recorded at some point. There's some parts that lean into ambient space rock. Do you see yourself experimenting with electronic music? We have a little bit. I don't want to delve too far into it because how I write a lot is watching TV or turning the TV off even and playing acoustic or electric guitar. Most of my songs are written that way. And then sometimes I'll add synth, or then as a band, we turn it a little bit more electronic. I can tell you that Brother, that's just how it sounded from the beginning, from the demo. And some of the demo stuff was used for that one. But when I sit at the, at the computer and I have a keyboard, I write differently. So like Traces was written that way, for example. So maybe it's not something that I'm necessarily going to lean into. I do have some stuff that's more synthy just by nature, and I think that stuff is good, and I think you're gonna like it. But it's not like a full album necessarily. It might, who knows? But it's not something that like for every 12 guitar songs, I may have one song that's slightly more synthy. You know what I mean? But yeah, I've noticed a lot of the theme in this album is about wasting time for nothing and how the only way out is through. As a late 20s potential wasting stoner, scared to death of the world around him, especially right now, I want to ask, how'd you manage to transform all this horribleness into perseverance in a way that you're proud of? That's a tough question. It's not a music question, so sorry, can't answer. I don't have a good answer necessarily, other than, yeah, maybe things were a different kind of horrible when I was younger. I know it seems like the world is as bad as it's ever been. I'm not I'm not proud of a lot of things that are going on right. It's just every day is something stupid. Um and I really don't want that for people. When I go to a concert or a convention even, people are just having a good time, hanging out. They're there to sing or to play video games or whatever. And it just feels so nice that that's like the natural default state that people could be in. And I feel like a lot of the division is stoked on purpose. And I know I see people leaning towards negativity online, and that's just like, sometimes you'll see a YouTube comment and you click on them, and every comment is finding the most negative thing possible. Like maybe a tiny thing that I said that slightly leans into a thing they don't like. And they'll hone in on that. And there's 2 hours of good stuff. And I feel bad for those people because it really, so much of everything is a perception shift. I'm not saying you have to be okay with everything and peaches and cream, and you can definitely still feel. I'm a cynical person by nature. I can't help it. You'll hear it in the music. I mean, listen to Real or Not or Crony. It's dripping. New Flesh. I mean, it's all in there. I deal with the world around me through comedy a little bit, through humor, through a little bit of cynicism and gratitude. The world I grew up in, we thought we were going to be bombed at any moment because I was 16 when 9/11 happened, and I went through, all the stuff in politics now is different, but at the same time, we thought we were going to be nuked or killed. As a Staten Islander, I was like, okay, maybe they won't blow up Staten Island with with this way, but maybe with a fucking nuke in Manhattan or something. I don't know. It was scary. It was a scary time. And then there was people going to war. It was definitely an anxiety-inducing time. And I wonder, what people. There are generations that lived through bombings, World War II, the Vietnam War. I mean, we like to think our pain is unique to us, and it is. This particular time period, of course, there's definitely stuff that's unique. But I don't know. Imagine living in Japan during World War II. Fuck, man. I mean, there's just we have to be grateful for the life we have and for what we do have. That's great for the people we have. And I think it's important to not always feel like, you know, something is trying to get you. Sometimes it is. But being strong, I used to be more agoraphobic. I used to be more scared of people, going out, doing things. Doing a show, even on stage, public speaking was like, you know how the fear of dying is number 2 to public speaking for a lot of people? That was me. And now I don't really give a shit. You know, I get nervous still, and a lot of people do, but you just do it and you get out there. And I go walk around Manhattan alone for 4 hours and go into a restaurant and eat alone and go to a movie theater alone and have a drink at a bar alone. I don't give a shit anymore because life is short. Why deny yourself these experiences? And I write about this. I'm sorry, this is a long-winded answer. I don't know what I'm trying to do here. I want people to be more confident. I want people to accept more responsibility. I would like for people to create art, use the things that suck. You know, I was in my 20s too, doing the greenery, like I said, and that's okay. I was playing guitar. I was learning. I was teaching myself. I was writing my first songs. You heard one. And eventually I got lucky with the streaming, and it's like, well, fuck, man, now I have an opportunity. This is what I've wanted. Sure, I'm 40 and now doing these shows. We've released our 6th album, but I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of how far we've come and how far I've made it. I'm not perfect. I have a lot to go, but there's so much that I know the world can be scary. There's so much good, and there's a lot you can do if you yes, the only way out is through, and exposure therapy and all that. It can work at your own pace, of course, but sometimes, like Bowie said, you got to kind of have one foot in the water and one foot out. And that can be good. That wasn't a question about Retcon, was it? I'm going to scroll all the way to the new messages. I'm going to stop talking there. Okay. All right. Because it feels so lonely for some people. Yeah, I mean, loneliness was a key theme in my life, and some of it forced onto me, and some of it not. Some of it was my own fault. You get so used to loneliness, you start doing it to yourself. And there's another song people have asked about, the song "Have You Ever Been Lonely?" Will that get a recording? It's done. Yes, it will. It is there. One day. Is there a VOD from last night? Other people recorded it. Any news on vinyl release for older albums? Like What Could Go Wrong in Kerosene? So here's the deal with older vinyl is this. I eat a lot of those costs. And for example, the Visions and Afterthoughts reprint didn't exactly fly off the shelves. So that's a lot of stuff that ends up being, it just sits around. So before we do reprints, we need to either get some new fans. Sorry to say it like that, because vinyl is very expensive, Douglas. And we need to justify doing another run. Now, as in most things with manufacturing, the more you order, the cheaper it gets. So if we ordered 3,000 vinyl, 4,000 vinyl, each one's price goes down, and that would be like, okay, now we have a huge stock. We're just not that big of a band. We aren't. We have, we really love and appreciate the fan base, and we have been, honestly, it's been really cool to see everybody live and to hear the songs sung back at us, which is wild for not performing for years and then doing it, and then that happens. It's nuts. But yeah, doing more represses, I would like to, but I think we need some more time. There will be something interesting in the near future, but I think for now, all you can really do is let's focus on the Retcon vinyl, and hopefully we'll get those, eventually. I'm waiting on another light reprint. I got the black and white one, but I want the green one. Okay, so I think there's a green one available now that isn't black and white. Let me check. Yeah, no, there's a good one. See if I can even download this image. I can't, but on the store, on the merch page, it's pretty good. I can do a little bit more, maybe another 15 minutes. Which of the cut tracks was the hardest to let go? Well, I don't want to really talk too much about the cut tracks necessarily, but there's a very grungy one that I thought fit the theme really well. But it didn't quite work on the album with the track list. The thing is, this album does go through, you have the grungier songs, the more energetic, heavier guitar songs, and you get into like synths, and then you get like almost an acoustic, weird Damon Albarn type song, some Floyd, there's some mandolin. It is a weird album. That may work for some people, it may not, but that's what it ended up being. And I'm happy with it. But I will say, cutting the songs was the right choice. But this grungy one I'm talking about was really it worked so well lyrically, but I don't think it fit otherwise. So, is the reference to Room to Breathe and Memory Loss intentional? I don't know. Any interest in releasing a live album? We're not that good yet. My singing is definitely getting better, and I'm learning how to be a better live singer. I was, for a while, I didn't want to listen to any of the live performances, but you know what? They're not that bad. Of course, I'm a little flat. It's loud rock and roll, whatever. There's going to be some stuff that I hear that I don't like, especially if I'm doing a full hour and a half set screaming some of the songs, a lot of them. But I'm generally happy with my progress, and I've learned so much from the TMG performance to now. So I think if we do more shows, that could happen eventually, but I'm not planning on it. Will there ever be a better merch store for international fans? Tariffs are horrible. I'm so sorry. I know. Well, considering my last merch company went totally bankrupt without telling anyone and cost me, I will tell you, 5 figures. I'm not going to say how much, but 5 figures. SCP going under cost me personally a fuckload of money. They had better prices, and I know tariffs are bad for a lot of people, and I'm sorry about that. I've talked about this with Retroware. There's not many merch companies that are local, which is a benefit to me, that would have much better prices. SCP had way better prices, but that came with a pretty fucking big cost. So, do I plan on releasing demos for the other albums? I keep forgetting. I'm sorry. Just busy working on other shit. But I can tell you, demos could still happen. Why not do a waitlist or pre-order for future orders? That is a good idea. We've talked about that. That could happen with the Retcon vinyl. I'm hoping Retcon vinyl will be shipping sometime in March. That would be my reasonable estimate. I would like to have that out by March. I don't know if that's feasible, but who knows. So, but hopefully, we'll see. I'll scroll down. More instrumental stuff. Well, Brother has a little bit of that. And yeah, I mean, I've got some stuff that's a little more instrumental. I've done that on the Bandcamp. I like writing lyrics. I like vocal melodies. I like singing. That's a thing I can add to a song that's uniquely mine. Maybe it could happen. Which song were you most excited to premiere? I think I didn't realize Brother would be liked as much as it was, because you hear a song a million times when you're recording it and mixing it, and it doesn't feel real anymore. And it feels like we've had that song around for a while. Like I said, a couple years. So my answer would be real or not. Is the Rickenbacker on the album? No, I don't think it is. It's mainly the Strat. It's my other Supro. It's the Bowie one. It's the green one, the custom one. That's on a bunch of songs. It's a bunch of Joe's guitars. It's also my Les Paul. Any sort of lawsuit ever had with that one merch supplier? There's no money to be had. There's no responsibility there. Yeah, that ended very badly, and a lot of people lost a lot of money, and it was there is no recourse as far as we've tried. Who played the mandolin? That was Joe. Do you see yourself re-recording or rewriting some songs from Davy's Gray for future albums? That's the same answer as before. I like to move forward. The song reminds me only had chords and not any vocal melodies and not drums. And we were able to do something completely new with it. And thematically, it fit. Having a song from 20 years ago really fit this Retcon theme. And I wrote the song around that vibe. But redoing Davy's Gray songs, they're there. You can hear them. You know, any other older material from that time, I don't think is particularly amazing. Otherwise, we would have probably recorded it. There might have been a couple demos people haven't heard. If I ever do a demos album, I would dig around for those. Would you guys ever do a Nine Inch Nails inspired album? Well, Time It Slipped Away has a little bit of Nails and a little bit of Echo and the Bunnymen and Tears for Fears, but not. I'm not ever going to sit down and say I want to do a blank inspired album. That's not how I work. Maybe some people can do that. I like the discovery process of I'm playing around on guitar. I'm like, oh, this could be cool like this, or this sounds like this, or the song kind of is asking to be this kind of song. If I had to sit down and force myself to write a Nine Inch Nails album, I'd become very resentful of the process. It would feel like homework. How long in advance do you book live shows? Do non-Americans have any chance to see a show without horrible plane prices? We are still, the live question is this. So yeah, we're doing more shows, and I like doing shows, but I'm also a homebody. So I don't know what the future holds, and I'm not going to say for sure I know, but it is very difficult to imagine the band being gone from home for very long. For one, my career, the streaming stuff, that's one thing. I can put that on hold, sure. But how comfortable am I going to be overseas? And then people's families. The people in this band also have jobs. And, limited things, maybe like limited little kind of a couple shows in a row. Sure, that could happen. But at the moment, we're just doing the U.S. stuff, and we don't have anything booked right now at all. And I'm serious about that. Usually the shows are, Real Good Touring is the name of the company, and they've been helpful. They have really good booking agents, and even though they take a little percentage, which is fair, they are the reason we got White Eagle Hall. They will come to us once in a while and be like, here's a suggestion. Do you want to do this? And sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. We had there's another show that was unfortunately canceled. I'll tell you about it very briefly, and it wasn't good. A lot of us had to put a lot of stuff aside. We couldn't do it, and then ultimately the communication wasn't great, and it fell through, and it sucks that it happened, but it was something that we had to do. If we have to do the bulk of the work to promote a show, we need to discuss that ahead of time. We need to have a full conversation in a call. You know what I mean? Like, it needs to be a thought out thing, and flippantly agreeing to a show and then it getting kind of like weird and people losing money on other gigs for something, that's not good because again, people have jobs here and it turns into weeks of practice, sometimes months, and then the show. And then there's travel. In this case with Baltimore, there was hotel rooms. I mean, it was a lot of effort. And I'm glad we did it, but it's just logistically it's more stressful than actually being up on stage prepared and ready to play. Like that's not so bad. It's all the other stuff that is stressful. So I hope that answers the question about France and Europe as well. It's not something on in the cards. Do you think you'll do another double album eventually? Not really. I mean, if the double album for Visions and Afterthoughts kind of we had planned on it because we had so much material, but it wasn't from moment one. It wasn't like let's make a double album. It just ended up going that way. Like halfway through the process, it was like I think this is a double album. Let's do Visions and then Afterthoughts and then put them together. And might have been a good idea. I'm not sure. I'm still not sure, but the songs are good. So at this point, I'm sure a double album of demos would work. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to charge people for the demos. That's, a lot of record companies would do that. But I think I would put demos online more than I would want to do an album I would charge for. Will Retcon merch potentially be restocked? That's another thing I've been trying to figure out. $1 on Bandcamp for the effort of putting it online. It's not a bad idea. Um, Lyric video premiere to end the stream. I'm just gonna put that on YouTube. I'm gonna just get some food and then figure that out. I got quite a bit of work to do, and the render it still says 98%. This has been rendering for like 6 or 7 hours. So CD restock of older albums could happen. Nothing planned right now. Was there a Memories Lie type of song that took a long time to get right for this album? Well, definitely one of the cut ones. And then also, I would say the Memories Lie situation for this album was Over a Life and Real or Not, where we made the decision to delay the album, cut some songs, and then record those. And I'm really, really happy we did. So, yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, not Retcon related, but saw heard you were on JT Curtis's album. Curious about how that was. Yeah, so JT, who was our opener twice, he's a YouTuber that covers Pink Floyd. He covers Beatle, Pink Floyd, Beach Boy. He does all kinds of classic rock stuff. And yeah, we've done 2 shows with him. He asked me to do the narration on his album, and he wanted me to do some backing vocals for a song, and I did. And he he did some really interesting stuff on that album. I mean, I would if you like progressive rock, that's all there. If you like Floyd, that's all there. And he did a lot of that stuff live when we did White Eagle, and people really liked it. The crowd was really enjoying it. So yeah, and Joe produced the album. They recorded a bunch at the studio, but they recorded most of it elsewhere. But Joe helped put some of it together, and he mixed some of it, and he recorded some of it. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely something to check out if you like that sort of music. Do you expect to do a show around summer vacation time? I don't know. We don't have any announcements about shows. We just don't have a show. We just don't. Do you plan to eventually release the cut song similar to Lost for a While EP? Stay tuned, chat member. Was this album mixed and mastered all in the box? Did you use any outboard gear? Joe definitely uses outboard gear, but also it's both. It's both. That would be a Joe question. Would you guys want features on a Red Vox album? We had Chuck Salomon on our previous one, and I could see it with the right people. I think it could happen, yeah. Is there any specific lyric on this album you think about a lot? Okay, I'll make this the penultimate question, and then I'll take one more. So get good ones ready. Let me think. What would be? I mean, the last song has some good ones. I like a lot of the lyrics on this album. Memory Loss has some good ones. Yeah, no, there. I can't think of one specific line. What do you think, chat? Is there any one line that stuck out to you? Never wait too long. Yeah. Do you do anything in particular to celebrate finishing up an album? Usually a nap. It's not much rock star stuff going on here anymore. Try to bend before I break. Okay, I'm glad you like that. I kind of like it when I'm bored. Yeah. Well, again, consider when that idea came about 20 years ago. Thought I was somebody else, maybe a better man. I'm bad at interpreting lyrics. I need them written down. Ghost in the Machine, hope it's not unreasonable. I'm the backwards man, the backwards man. Okay. That's definitely on there. The backwards man. You'll live forever, you'll be someone. Yeah, that one, I like that one too. There's some, listen, I'm always going to be critical of my own shit. I know my shit don't stink. I know there's stuff on there that's not as good as it could be. I know that I'm getting better at a lot of different types of things in music. And I also know music falls down to personal preference for a lot of people too. And, when I'm at conventions, Another Light is consistently the album that I sign the most. But then some conventions, the second most is Kerosene. And then sometimes it's What Could Go Wrong. And sometimes people are like, Realign is the best thing you've done. And then, people, Visions and Afterthoughts comes up a lot, but usually in the form of, I really like this song or these two songs or these three songs. I think it's just kind of what, this is all stuff I like. This is the type of music I listen to, so I make it. It's not being, these songs aren't going to make themselves, so I like to see them come to life. I like to now play them. But then there's some stuff from back in the day I don't really want to play anymore, necessarily. There's a lot of first album stuff I wouldn't play. I would like to do a Kerosene song live, but I don't know how to make that happen 100%. We're going to figure that out one day. I would like to have at least one song from every album represented at a live show. Realign is a tough album to do live. There's a lot there that A, I don't really ever see myself wanting to play, and B, would be tough to reproduce. And, I got to just kind of, I'll give you an example. We played Hazy at our last show, and I thought I was sick of it. I thought, I'm good. I don't need to hear this one anymore. And doing it live made me love it all over again. I was like, that's a fun one to play. And Joe, who is our new bassist, he is hearing a lot of these songs for the first time. And when he heard Hazy, he was like, I like this one. This is good. And I was like, oh, that's cool. It's nice to hear that, because I really respect Joe's opinion. He's a great musician. He's an incredible musician. He's a great dude. He's funny. He's got like a whole ass career, and we've known each other for a while, but now we've become real close. And when he says he likes an older song, that kind of rejuvenates it a little bit for me. So yeah, it's cool. Guitar tabs. No, I don't have guitar tabs. I'm sorry. Here's my challenge to you, chat member. Just like with my own songs and a lot of other covers we've done, play by ear as much as you can. I've never written out guitar tabs. that sounds like a nightmare. I don't know even how to play some of my own songs. The old ones, I have to relearn them. And sometimes I play them slightly different because I play different now. But yeah, I don't think guitar chords are or tab is something I would do. I know the answer might be no, but will you ever in the future do Stranded live? Why is the answer no? You play by ear on stage without learning tabs. Well, yeah. Once you okay, look, I'll answer this. The Stranded question was the last one, but I just want to answer this. I want to inspire people here that play music to learn songs by ear, because I don't sit and pore over tabs. No one in the band does. Most bands probably don't do that. So, for example, Atom Bomb, it's like a C minor, right? Once you know what that chord is, if you know your chords, you hear it, you're like, oh, that's a C minor, I can tell. And then just naturally follow that until you have what sounds like the song. And even my old solos, I just kind of do a little bit, I get close, or I do something a little different, or yeah, I mean, playing by ear gets easier the more you do it. That's a part of the thing that I've learned that I didn't know I quite had over the past couple years. I was doing the Rocksmith stream 2 weeks ago, and I got to the point where once I figured out what the first couple chords were, if I knew the song well enough, like a Queens of the Stone Age song, I was like, oh, this has to go here. You know, this sounds like it would go here. And then I looked up when I needed to make a decision on the fly. But that's the thing is, and I'm not even good at this. This is not, I'm okay at it, but Joe is way better, Joe Pecora. And Bill, these are all people who have been playing in bands way more than I have. And that's the thing, play with musicians who are better than you, and you can learn all kinds of valuable shit. And I've been lucky enough to be in a band with Joe and now Gerald. And, you know, these guys have been playing consistently, like almost every day for years. So that's kind of where, you know, you figure stuff out. But yeah, no, guitar tab is great to start. And then hopefully you graduate from that. And they can still be useful. And I still sometimes, when I want to cover a song, maybe I'll just check out a quick, like, something chords. And I'm like, okay, that's the chord. Okay, got it. But then for a lot of other stuff, especially rock, you know, a lot of stuff is like AC/DC. It's probably just a fucking A chord. The guy's playing an A chord with his dick, and that's AC/DC. You know, so yeah. All right, I'll end it with that. I don't think I'm going to top playing the A chord with his dick. So I think I wish you luck in your journey, chat member, with your guitar playing. Everybody that's a musician, I want to see more music in the world. There's so much of it already, but there's a particular brand of rock that I like, and I know it exists. It's out there, but I'm also filtering my tastes through these songs with a bunch of like-minded people that also have their own influences, and we arrive somewhere at Red Vox. And as we continue this journey, God, that's so corny to say that, but as we continue to play, we learn each other's strengths as musicians. We all have our own tastes that we put into the music, and hopefully we create something interesting or nice to listen to. And I think it's just fun. You know, this is something that keeps me going. And as I get older, this is something I really am happy I have. Music is really wonderful, and I hope I can inspire someone to pick up a guitar, play some songs, maybe even start a band or try, you know, making some music at home. It's a lot easier now than it's ever been. And even for me, for example, like I'm never going to make like a current pop sounding album. I'm not going to make a hip hop album. I respect a lot of different types of music. I listen to hip hop through Gorillaz, for example. But whatever your tastes are, you know, whatever you want to make, whatever you're good at, just keep digging and keep creating. And even if it's, you know, a very specific genre, I think people will find it eventually if, you know, if you try hard. I'm lucky I made a bunch of shitty memes over the years that people would then go and check out the music. I don't even know how to get your music out there these days. It fucking sucks. Even for me, even for us, we have a good head start and it's still tough to get the music out there, but we're doing our best and we'll keep doing our best. And I really, listen, I don't even know why I did this Q&A necessarily, but I want you to know I appreciate you being here to listen to this shit. I appreciate you listening to the music. I appreciate you coming out to the shows, checking out the music on, you know, physical medium, like vinyl or CD. It's really, this is something that keeps me going, and I will keep making the music as best I can, as honest as I can, and I will continue to, you know, try to make stuff that can mean something to myself. That's the goal. And I hope, you know, Retcon treats you well over the next couple weeks and months, and, you know, hopefully it doesn't get old too quick. And like I said, I think sooner rather than later, there will be some more music for you to chew on. So thanks, everybody. Take care. More updates whenever I have them about vinyl, about shows, if any more happen. I don't know. I'll continue making those announcements as I have them. So take care, and I appreciate you listening. Bye.